Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Rajat Purohit, and thanks a lot, Vignesh, for giving a lovely introduction. It's a great initiative which you've taken for Wednesdays, where people from the industry can come and talk about what is happening, what sort of solutions are there in the picture, and really not just talk about that, but talk about the new normal as well. The world post COVID-19 has changed to such an extent that even kids who used to go to school and learn things have started doing things remotely. The new normal which has come into the picture has more about reaching out to more and more people on the virtual level, and connecting and touching them, not by a physical presence, but with a presence in such a way that you have an impact, and not just an impact, but to take the things further in the right way as well. So before we start, I'll just give you a bit of introduction about myself. My name is Rajat Purohit, and I'm part of the big data analytics team of NEC Corporation, which is a Japanese conglomerate, and we are into pin to a plane into the IT solutions when it comes to Japan. I have a varied experience around big data, analytics, end user computing, and working in companies such as Samsung, VMware, and NEC currently, where I've been not only taking care of the big data analytics solution, but also the RPA practice which we have over here. So today, what we'll do is we'll talk about the new trends, what's happening in the industry, what post COVID 19 organizations are thinking about, and also the initiatives which we have been working around for customers, and how it's actually making a difference for the business going forward.
Mr. Rajesh, sorry to interrupt. Your video is kind of turned off.
Uh, you guys are able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can able to see your screen though,
I think
but
that's
not
more.
the video. Okay.
Yeah. So let's move a bit forward. So the business overview, it's being said that the data is being the new oil, and more organizations are creating solutions around society, focusing on the problems for business and mankind as well. So it's no more for business who want to just make money out of the problems which are being faced by the business, but it's about solving the solutions for that business and for human mankind as well. So, be it telecom, be it public safety, be it transportation, be it retail, unified communication, logistics, IT platform, we are creating solutions. We're working hand in hand with organizations and doing product engineering and R&D towards solving the issues which are being faced by organizations. Then data, which is playing a very key role in the organizations these days. More and more data is growing, as you know that from an aspect when there was time when we used to just have structured data in the databases. Data coming in from the structural aspects of business has changed a lot. The sources of data have changed. Sources of data are varied in such a format that a clickstream data is also important data these days. Data coming from IoT devices is very important. Data coming from unstructured and semi-structured data sources is very important. Logs related data is very important, and all of this data which is present in the organization, which wasn't used in past, is now being analyzed and being used for some sort of a constructive work which is to be done in future. So it's more about creating solutions for businesses and for society, and solving the problems of how things are happening in the business. So solution companies are helping customers in becoming more data driven and decision making, which is being taken care by the informative insights which is being produced by the plethora of data which is present in an organization. More and more companies are trying to build common data lake for data analytics platform. So what is happening these days is organizations are trying to come up with a common data lake which would have plethora of uh, 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 information coming in from a lot of sources, where data acquisition is going to start off from data acquisition. The data which is going to be acquired by this data lake is then going to be transformed, in-memory analytics going in hand, real-time processing, and then uh, deriving inferences or deriving analytics with some sort of a meaningful information which would be helping the business and mankind for some sort of work. So strengthening of your data visualization, uh, you know, uh, we have always heard that the data warehouses which are present in the organization, the optimization of those data warehouses, the visualization of the structured and unstructured data, then creation of a data lake for the customer, having a 360-degree view, building prediction models on top of it, and then the real-time streaming analytics and advanced analytics where automation and predictive and prescriptive sort of analytics is taking place in the organizations. So what we'll do is we'll one by one take you through the sort of changes and the sort of solutions which are being implemented in the organization, and how they're taking the experience not only of that organization but the users in that organization to a next level by providing a data analytic platform which derives decisions from the insightful and the important insightful data which is created from there. So just to give you a brief, organizations or the solution companies work in a step-by-step and a structured process where they start from the consulting phase, move to the design and integration services phase, then the platformization, build analytics and visualization on top of it, and providing managed services facilities for the organizations who opt for these sort of solutions. So to give you a brief onto this, what organizations are doing, they're mapping people, processes, and digital technology landscape. They're identifying the key pain points or the key pain areas of the customer before providing any sort of a solution. So in this consulting phase, a solution company comes into the picture. It assesses the as of what is happening in the processes and the technology which is being utilized, and then identify the key pain areas, and in turn helps in building a digital transformation strategy of for an organization. So so if I say that companies are working on digital transformation strategy, that would be a wrong thing, because majority of the organization have embarked their journey for digital transformation, and the strategy is there. But companies, solution companies help in building those digital transformation strategy and taking it to the next level. Once the consulting phase is over, the design and integration services phase comes into the picture, where designing operational business systems happen. Integration plan for that design is devised. Several applications are redesigned or built accordingly, and the management tools and the frameworks are set up in this sort of a step which organizations have in place. Platformization, moving to the next step, all the consulting and the design which has happened for some sort of a solution, some sort of a re-engineering, happens from this platformization phase. So organizations take help of consulting and strategy companies to build and deploy the data analytics platform. Solution companies deploy tools for continuous development and automation testing with agile project management. Basically, in this platformization stage, the tools, the frameworks, the big data analytics data lake is created, and the tools are set up for some sort of a business need. So data acquisition, data cleansing, data storage happens with the platformization part of it. Then the service of analytics and visualization. Now you have a data lake. The organization has a data lake which has data coming in from several sources: structured sources, unstructured sources, IoT data, clickstream data, XML data, log-based data, all of it coming into a one central data lake repository of yours. Then what happens is this data is cleaned, cured, and implementation of advanced analytics happens on top of the solution. Predictive and real-time analytics use cases are built on top of it. AI and ML solutions are again deployed on top of the platformization, which is built in the previous stage. Smart visualization with useful insights come from this stage, where all of that information is transformed into oil, and very important business decisions are taken with the help of analytics and visualization from this solution, which is being implemented by solution companies. Once the consulting, design, platformization, and analytics is over, maintenance of the whole environment, from platform to tools to use cases to new work, is also being taken by the solution companies. Monitoring and support is provided on-prem and cloud integration services. You can have these sort of solutions on-premise or even on cloud, depending on the journey of an organization and the inclination of what sort of solutions the organizations are preferring. Network management and backup and disaster recovery plan is also created within the managed services spectrum. So solution companies these days want businesses to focus on their core business area. The rest of the things, starting from the consulting phase to managed services to execution of the whole game, is being managed by the solution organizations these days for end-to-end data and analytics services. A lot of majority of the solution companies have their center of excellence, having people from business analysts to data engineers to data scientists to Hadoop administrators, data warehouse and business intelligence specialists working out of this center of excellence, which goes, transforms the organization, creates the platformization, builds the use cases, and enables and makes that organization go towards the growth strategy or the plan which they are experiencing to happen. So the business analysts would be domain experts, in case it's a manufacturing organization. Domain experts from manufacturing would come with technology experts. Blend of business analytics and mathematical skills would be one of the core competencies of business analysts. Big data and business communities, data rules, assisting data scientists in development of new analytical tools and methodologies. Data engineers, these would be the people who would collect, manage, analyze, and visualize the data, build and deploy infrastructure architectures, build and modify data pipelines. Similarly, data scientists would ascribe values to draw data, build the algorithms, build the models, which are required for automating work through use cases for predictive and prescriptive analytics. Hadoop administrator, people who would be deploying the platform, people who would be working on Hadoop infrastructure, who would be doing performance monitoring, installing patches, people who would actually do the maintenance of the whole environment. So solution companies act as a one-stop shop for the businesses, be it in the government space, be it in manufacturing space, be it in retail space, education, or the upcoming space of BFSI and e-com. So now, after we've given you a brief of how and what is the whole process. We'll just touch upon to the data platform for Hadoop or the data lake solution which is there from technology organizations. Okay, this data lake solution on the screen might talk about NEC, but more or less a lot of organizations are working on these lines. And the best part of our company at the moment is that we are an end-to-end data platform analytics solution product and professional services company, which not only provides you the consulting service, not only provides you the platform for Hadoop, not only provides you the professional services in building and implementing use cases, but also gives you the managed services and the whole solution from start to the end. So just to give you a brief over here, the solution consists of a data lake. Okay, this data lake is a pre-packaged appliance of hardware and software. The hardware coming in from one of the OEMs, and the software which would be on top of it would be from Cloudera or the big data Hortonworks platform, which would be implemented on top of it. So the data sources, if we see, would range from structured business systems, ERP, CRM, and the structured databases which are implemented in organization. Then log-based data, time series data, data coming in from PLC machines, data coming in from IoT devices, data coming in from CCTV cameras, images data, clickstream data, XML data, JSON data, structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data from the edge is ingested onto the platform which is created with the help of Hadoop ecosystem. Once this, once the data is ingested, collected, stored, and processed, you build data analytics use cases on top of it. So the platform which is created, which is a pre-packaged appliance, being hardware, software, all encapsulated into one source. We build analytics model on top of it. Then this platform is utilized as a data warehouse. We can run business intelligence reports on top of it, business analytics reports, which provides useful insights for organization, and AI and machine learning recommendations, which can be built on top of the data lake, which is created in this phase. This data platform for Hadoop, or the solution, or the big data lake which we are creating, can be on-premise and can be on cloud as well. So this platform enables you to process analytics and gives you useful insights working on top of the whole ecosystem. Just to touch upon on top of this, you can do analytics with tools like SAS, Tableau, and you can create a reporting and visualization in open source tools as Zoom and Superset as well. Whereas you have Jupyter and Jupyter Notebook as well for a basic sort of visualization and reporting within the Hadoop ecosystem as well. One more aspect which I would like to touch upon, this big data lake which we're talking about is coming as a service as well on AWS and Amazon Azure as well. So, in case you decide that you would just want to, use this in your organization for a few months and just want to see how really things happen, we want to embark the data big data journey in your organization, you could probably upscale your environment with few machines on AWS or Microsoft Azure as well, where the environment would be created automatically, and you would just have to then build your use cases, or you would have to do analytics and try things over there as well. And the best part is, if you just want to test it out, that can be done over there, and then from there you can embark the journey of big data analytics, having a AI machine learning solution enabled from there as well. So organizations and companies have pre-evaluated platforms which are provided for customers, and end-to-end service offerings starting from consulting phase to managed services, where we would not only maintain your infrastructure on-premise or cloud, but also do patching and all sort of management related work from administration side. So now what I would do is I would just touch upon few of the industry and the work which is being done in the industries to tell you the real-time usage of this sort of a data lake and how it has been helping the organizations. So if you see over here, smart manufacturing industry solution design, we can see that the technology which is being implemented is from the big data services side. It's the same encapsulated solution environment which I shared with you in the last slide. So we would be having a big data lake which would be implemented with visualization tools, collaboration and workflows, and analytics platform which would be built from the technology perspective. The data majorly within the 4.0, smart manufacturing 4.0 would be coming either from sensors. These sensors would probably be providing temperature, variation, pressure, and other SCADA values which would be coming in from the systems which are already implemented in a manufacturing line in the production environment. Then plant KPIs, risk factors would be the sort of data which either could come up from the HMIs or which could come from the automatic systems which are being implemented. From the analytics perspective, if we have a look, statistics modeling, machine learning, stimulations and optimization is something which is actually going to be built on top of that platform with the help of the data and the analytics which is built in form of use cases. So if you go on top of that, we can see that predictive maintenance is one of the use cases which is being used more and more by the organizations of any sort of a company. So just take an example of a manufacturing line in a car manufacturing company. What happens is a lot of data is collected from the machinery which is being used in the production line. Now there's a regular wear and tear with these machinery, and there are a lot of parameters which are being gathered by the systems and is being stored at the back end. So what we do is we gather and ingest all of this data from the unstructured and structured sources, and with the historical data we run predictive models on top of it, and in case there is some wear and tear, or if there is one of the values which is not acting appropriately, we can predict some sort of a failure which is about to happen. Just giving an example, one of the proprietary solution which NEC or my organization has is SIAT, which is System Invariant Analysis Technology. So what we've done with help of machine learning and AI algorithms, we've built a system where what we do is we just connect all of the IoT devices and ingest all of that data. Then our system does an invariance analysis on top of it, where it monitors all of the sensors data which is coming in. And if it sees any sort of invariance, it maps with other sensors and all of the historical data. And if there is something which is about to go wrong, it tells you beforehand that there is a problem which is about to happen, and this can be fixed with help of the predictive alerts which can be managed to the system administrators. So this one technology is quite coming up for the production and the manufacturing industry. Then real-time monitoring, process production sensors, data in real time from machinery for global reliability portal is as we know that a lot of more and more IoT is being implemented in the organization. Data is being collected and dashboards and real-time monitoring happen accordingly for the manufacturing organizations as well. Predictive quality, as we know, we said that we can use these systems for predictive maintenance, but we can utilize the big data analytics, build models on top of it by gathering the historical value and increase the first time right. So predicting the quality, the first time right of what sort of a product is going to be manufactured is something which can be done with these systems and reduce the waste and cost by analyzing the census data in production processes. You would be kind of imagining that how is this possible that by monitoring the census data we'll be able to predict what sort of quality of product is going to be manufactured in that production line. So just let me give you a brief over here. Things like temperature, pressure, oscillating speed, humidity, and a lot of parameters are being measured with the IoT, which is coming into the picture these days. What we do is we capture all of this data. And after capturing all of this data, what we do is we analyze what sort of readings which we are getting. And if we see that there's some sort of a degradation in the process, there's some sort of a degradation in the system, it can lead to things not working in the right way, and the production can be hampered for the end product which is being produced over there. Then, as we know that the KPI sheet, or on top of all of this, a 360-degree view of the overall plant can be created, which is one of the key requirements going forward through the Industry 4.0 requirement, and the KPI sheets, automatically creation of KPI sheets and maintenance alert and real-time production data and monitoring of the same can be done for from this sort of a solution, which has analytics and machine learning implemented for achieving the best productivity and efficiency for an organization. So this was an example of technology being used in a smart manufacturing industry. What we can do is we can even tell you that predictive equipment maintenance is something similar what I explained. We are even utilizing these big data and AI technologies in a lot of places in Japan for disaster control and big data management. So NEC has, this is just to give you an example, that by collecting all of the data which is there from the sensor, NEC Comprehensive Disaster Control System strategically places cameras and IoT devices to collect and visualize accurate real-time footage on damages which are caused by natural disaster. And then by utilizing all of this information, it helps with the groundbreaking cloud behavior analysis technology to detect where there could be a problem when the commuters are going back, and formulate a swift countermeasure for disaster control systems with the prediction technology by utilizing and capturing all of the data, historical data at their site. So cameras and IoT devices, which are part of the smart city initiative in a lot of Indian cities as well, is working towards this sort of a system where they, as you would know, in Mumbai, there is a cyclone which is about to hit. So capturing all of the data from IoT and the CCTV cameras, if we have a disaster control system utilizing big data analytics solutions, we can do a swift countermeasure for people who are traveling back to their places. And not only that, but do prevention management with help of the data platform for Hadoop or the big data. So similar to this, organizations are utilizing big data and AI uh, for uh, drug discovery to benefit society from the different sort of diseases which are there. One of the key cases where NEC has been working with neoantigen prediction utilizes its proprietary AI, such as graph-based rational learning, which combines other sources of data to discover candidates, mutagen targets, and with help of the AI technology, it prioritizes and identifies how and what sort of drug can be formulated for the sort of disease which is there in picture. In times at the moment, organizations and companies in Japan and other places are utilizing AI for this sort of research as well. And you guys would be happy to know that organizations like CSIR, the Indian Research Institute, is also utilizing big data and AI technology for developing research around COVID-19 and other diseases which are there for human mankind, and trying to see how and what sort of drugs can be created for creating and boosting immunity for the people who are there. I think with this, what I'll do is we've talked about a lot of things around big data, AI solutions, how they're helping for manufacturing, for healthcare, and for other industries. What we can do is, Vignesh, we can open up for Q&A. In case people have questions, we can take them and then see what are if there are any doubts or any sort of information which people would be requiring in this case.
Certainly, Mr. Rajat. It was a pretty informative session. In fact, all the things you have covered, it was great information that we can able to get it from. Yep, audience, if you have any questions regarding the presentation or anything about big data, please post it on the question box. Participants, in case you have any questions about the presentations or anything you want to know about big data or machine learning, kindly post it on the question box tab, which you see on the left side of the screen. Mr. Rajat, meanwhile, the question has come from Mr. Ratan Rajan Srivatsava. What kind of certification course can I do in big data to get a job, and from where?
So there are a lot of certifications. It totally depends on the sort of aspirations you have. In case if you are looking out for big data analytics, the best certifications for you would be from the Cloudera perspective.
Okay, great.
So if you get onto the Cloudera website, you'll be able to see, if you really want to do core technology work around big data, it would be from the big data analytics from Cloudera. Otherwise, I believe there are organizations who have courses around foundation for big data analytics, into Python, into data visualization, and analytics as well.
That's great. So we have one more question from Dr. K. Uma Maheshwari. It is like, What are open source big data tools?
So there are a lot of open source big data tools, but it totally depends what sort of tool. Are you talking about tools from visualization perspective? Are you talking about tools from notebook or scripting perspective? What sort of tools are you talking about from open source perspective? Because in big data analytics spectrum only, if we talk about, there are about 32 to 36 several different projects on which big data community is working, starting from Spark to Scala to Hive to HBase. So it totally depends what sort of tools are we talking about over here.
Okay. So there is one more question from Mr. Murugavel. He's asking, like, in what way big data is useful during this COVID situation. So what are the steps government or entities have used by implementing big data? As you
So in fact, you'll be very happy to know, sir, that within COVID environment, within COVID era, research organizations, more and more research organizations are utilizing this big data analytics platform with help of historical data, either from either being from drug industry, be it from pharmacy industry, be it from genetics, how genetics would react to some sort of a drug, and all of these models are being built around big data analytics and being used by research organizations for coming up of vaccines and for the research which is done for drug discovery as well.
Oh, that's great. And there's one more question from Mr. Arka Jagatsardi. So it is, how will big data help in banking sector when fraudulent banking happens? And
So, so in banking, BFSI sector, so there are a lot of use cases around fraud, and there are a lot of use cases around anti-money laundering, which can be built on top of the big data analytics platform,
okay,
creating AI and ML models for detecting fraud automatically, and predicting a user which is prone to do frauds as compared to someone who is going to be a safe investor. So it depends on the historical data, it depends on the models, depends on the anti-money laundering models which are being created and implemented in the BFSI sector. So big data analytics has a lot of scope with the banking sector.
wonderful. So second question he asks, it is, how will big data learning help when I have a technical background in ITES and study in clinical psychology? How will I add value to advancement? So he's asking about his technical background in
Okay.
ITES and studying clinical psychology.
Okay, so the question is quite varied. Okay, and I would need to have a one-to-one, a call with this person where I would understand a bit more about what they want to do and how their background with big data analytics can be taken forward with. But having a background in ITES and clinical psychology with a bent towards big data analytics can do quite well.
Wonderful. So we have one more question from Mr. P. Anbumani. So he was asking about recently used big data tools and which tool is knows best for fraudulent detection, like fraud detection, maybe in banking sector or even in especially in cybercrime industry, I guess.
Sir, this question is quite vast, and there is no specific answer to this. Just to if I tell you that a tool such as Tableau or a tool such as SAS or a tool such as Superset would be very much good for anti-money laundering or detecting fraud in some sort of an organization would be wrong, because just like there are 10 different cards in the market, and 10 different cards would have their own specific USPs. Similarly, within big data analytics, there are several tools. Depending on your requirement, how and what needs to be done is something which is more based on the use case and the work which needs to be done, because same car takes you from A to B and A to Z location. The only difference is the sort of experience which you have, and that totally depends on what sort of work you are going to be achieving out of it. So again, I would say that we'll have to have a bit more detailed discussion with you. Try to understand what sort of work you are trying to achieve and what sort of fraudulent use cases you want to minimize. So I think, Vignesh, what you can do is you can take down their contact details and we can have a quick discussion with them sometime later on.
Yep, sure. And we have a question from Mr. Vijay. So it is, if I want to be big data analytics expert, which course I have to complete? And is there any online course to become a big data expert? In fact, we're getting a common question like this.
I think, guys, this is a common question which is coming from a lot of people. Now, there are a lot of content which is there around big data. And what I can say is there's a company called Skillcraft, which is also, doing a lot of good work around education and content development around this. I think it would be best if you contact Skillcraft, and Vignesh, you would probably be able to help them more around to this.
Sure. In fact, Mr. Vijay and Anbumani, probably you guys can we'll have a discussion further. And we have one more question from our Instagram audience. So this is again it's about the online courses. You're asking, is it worthy to study an online paid course, or we can go for free online courses? Since these days there are a lot of places where these people used to get online courses. You're just asking this question.
Okay.
Opt for an online free course. Yeah.
So the answer to this would be very subjective. Whoever this, who's asked this question?
Instagram page. So we get some DMs.
Okay, so whoever is over there, the answer to this question would be, it totally depends on what is your aspiration. There are a lot of free courses available on the internet. There are few paid courses and there are few very good paid courses as well. I think to answer this question, again, I would say, Vignesh, you would need to have a quick session and a one-to-one talk with them, who would be able to tell you more on what sort of courses, paid or unpaid, would be helpful for you. Again, it totally depends on the sort of a background you're coming from, what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it. So there are free courses, there are paid courses, there are courses which can help you to different extents.
Okay, so I guess it should be answered. We have a very interesting question here. Mr. Murugavel asked, how this big data can be useful in agriculture.
Okay. So big data analytics, this is a very good and a very interesting question, because in fact, our company has deployed a solution in Spain as well around agriculture. And what is happening these days is a lot of analysis, analytics, predictiveness is being done within agriculture as well. So what is being done at the moment is a lot of IoT is being implemented to check the soil conditions, humidity, the mineral content, the temperature, the weather conditions, the water conditions, and all of this together with the help of more and more farming technologies is being utilized from an aspect where big data and AI is being utilized for improving the yield by per hectare, improving the processes in which predictive analytics can be done for what sort of things can be grown, and improving the efficiency of farmers by utilizing their historical data and giving them the trend of what sort of production can be done, and depending on the supply and demand in the market, have all of this for giving them suggestions of what sort of yield and crop can be planted in coming future.
We have one more question in our Instagram. So this is regarding big data or AI usefulness in aviation industries, especially this is from a manufacturing kind of perspective.
So in the manufacturing industry, a lot of usage of big data and AI is happening. Okay, so things from things ranging from visual analytics to predictive maintenance is one of the biggest things which is being implemented into aviation, be it from manufacturing side or be it from the spacecraft side. Okay, so more and more planes, more and more, I'll touch upon spacecraft as well, because we're working with we've been working with few of the organizations like GE and a few space organizations like NASA, where we are capturing data coming in from the IoT devices of all of these planes, spacecraft, and doing a predictive maintenance for the equipment which is placed in the aircrafts or any of these crafts which are there in consideration. So whenever there is a flight which flies or which lands, there's a lot of checks which happen, and with help of predictive maintenance, there's a lot of scope of improvement of work which can be done in not only monitoring but fixing the problems before it occurs as well.
Wonderful. This question is from the same person, John. So he's asking like, how about what do you call this? Electronic testing. So it's something in AME they used to have kind of a regular yard checkup, like the analytics, all these things. They have all these things stored in the data. So this question, I guess, is regarding it. How we can have that AME checkup about a flight checkup and a flight health checkup, all these things.
So as we said that all of these flights, AMIs, and all of these equipment is storing a lot of data, and all of this data is stored in sort of a gateway. So what we can do is we can connect to the gateway, ingest all of the historic data, analyze all of that data, and build useful insights on top of it.
Okay, great. So again, one more question is from Mr. Ebenezer, and it is regarding how far India is catching up with big data revolution. Yeah, that is the question. So how is India coping up with the big data?
This is a question which is being asked by a lot of people. Just to give you an example, India is catching up to such an extent that our organization has signed an MOU for Center of Excellence with CSIR, which is one of the research organizations of India. And we also have a Center of Excellence signed up with IIT Mumbai, which is in Powai, for big data, AI, and HPC offerings, which we have, doing research for the society from logistics, smart city, and the healthcare perspective.
Okay.
The majority of the banks in the country are taking their journey towards big data analytics. Manufacturing companies with the rise in Industry 4.0 initiative has big data and cloud technologies all imbibed into it. Retail, e-com. Just to give you a small example, companies like Flipkart and Amazon, when you go there, you try to buy something, and they start recommending you stuff that is again part of the big data analytics, where it does prediction on by analyzing your past trends with the click stream data. It helps in predicting what you might also be able to buy. So that's the sort of inroads it has made into India, from government to research to banking to manufacturing to e-commerce. More and more companies are wanting to use big data analytics, AI, and machine learning in their businesses these days.
Wonderful. So we have one more question. Yes. So this is from Priyadarshini. It is, how important is big data and instrumentation engineering field?
A very good question. This question, I would say, would be more relevant if answered by an instrumentation domain expert, because a lot of data, when we talk about instrumentation, it's instruments, it's electronic devices, it's machinery, which has a lot of data which is being produced from the chip level to the electrostat to a lot of things which are being captured. All of this data is not being utilized at present, and the utility of it is quite minimum when we talk from the perspective where big data, AI, and machine learning can be implemented. But I believe this question should be asked more to a domain expert from instrumentation, comparative to a person who is talking on technology from AI perspective. So we people also work hand in hand with the domain experts, and at times it's domain experts who tell us what needs to be done. We can tell how technology will be able to enable that.
Great. So we have one more question from Mr. Murugavel. Difference between big data and data science.
No problem. In that case, big data, when we talk about big data, it's more about capturing of all of that data, building a big data lake, management of the whole environment. And data sciences is the science which utilizes data coming into the picture, and building algorithms and helping out from the model creation side of it, and utilizing all of that data, all of that oil for some sort of useful insight which can be produced out of it.
Wonderful. So I guess it is that's all for questions. So in fact, Rajat San, like you have answered pretty well. So most of the questions are very interesting. So thank you participants for those wonderful questions, in fact. So Rajat San, once again, thank you so much for spending your valuable time. We know like how busy you are. So taking some big chunk of this time and spending with us. So we are really grateful to you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure audience have really enjoyed the complete session. So once again, thank you all. Thank you all for being a wonderful audience. It's such great to host you all. So
thank you, everyone. Thank you, Vignesh. Thank you, Ratnakar.